Welcome to You're Going to Be Great at This, the podcast where we help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners, sales professionals, and other self-employed folks turn prospects into customers and grow their businesses. We deliver practical tips and tricks with plenty of humor and dumb stories to keep things fun. I'm your host, Chris Costanis, so let's get going and make your business thrive. Hey everybody, this is Chris with the You're Going to Be Great at This podcast once again, and sponsored by Surf Financial Brokers, your friends with living benefits. And today we have a very, very special friend of mine who carved some time out of her very, very busy schedule. Exactly. She's like making poses for those of you who can't see if we're doing this audio only. And I'm going to have to walk people through this now. It's going to be like a podcast in Braille or something. Who knows? So now she's voguing. But her name is Lindsay Shelton. She is the co-founder of Waymaker, which I'm going to let her give you a quick 30-second description of Waymaker in a minute. But she's here today to talk to us about co-working as a game changer, which is something I haven't really considered. So I'm going to learn something new today as well because I have a lot of empty space in my brain. But Lindsay, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're the bomb. And I get on LinkedIn. We met on a LinkedIn group as I meet most of my friends because that's just the way I do things lately. And tell us a little bit about Waymaker. What is Waymaker and how does that work for our clients?
Yeah, so Waymaker started as a company that helped solopreneurs and small teams to create strategic brands, which are not like fancy, pretty brands that you get to look at, but the strategy behind a brand. What do I say to my customers? What's important to them? What's my mission? What's my vision? How does that connect to anything that's relevant to them? And from that place, we create connection marketing. We create sales that are connecting to them. And throughout that time, I had a full-time job. I was running Waymaker. I also I managed the rentals for my dad. He's a real estate investor. And I was very busy. So I ended up creating something else, which is called Action Planner. So in addition to the strategic brands, we also help with execution support because it's, all well and good to create a lovely strategic brand. But if you cannot follow through on all the changes that are required to your website, to your socials, to the way that you talk to people, email, design your flyers, then that strategic brand dies. So Action Planner is a weekly meeting where we get our crap together and we keep it together as people who are doing business by ourselves, which can be lonely and it's hard to maintain motivation.
Yeah. Is that like a mastermind maybe? Or is it more of a coaching kind of situation when you're doing the action
You
plan?
know, Chris, maybe you can help me with this. This has been my branding marketing challenge is that it's co-working that's super structured. So we get on the call together, we take a couple of breaths, and then we reflect on our week. What worked, what didn't work? Did we do the things we say we were going to do? We have like the big three that we set. And then if we didn't, what needs to change about our own behavior? So it's like a very reflective process. And then we do like work, like we look ahead in our calendars. We look at all the stuff on our plate. We design our next big three. We take care of our calendars. We triage email for 10 minutes. And it's like all this housekeeping stuff that most people don't do by themselves, but we do it together. So it's co-working, but time boxing, and there's like a little bit of coaching. I don't know what it is. It's great
Well,
though.
it sounds like a great idea. I mean, well, you
We
don't
can
have
just
to
give
have
it a
it.
word. That'd be
You don't have to
great.
have a name for it. I mean, it's not. It sounds like a hybrid of about three or four different things, and
Yes.
and you're probably checking off a lot of boxes and doing it all you know, helping somebody with a lot of
efficiently.
problems at once is
Yes.
what it sounds like. And speaking of problems, and I have, mental problems, issues. I mean, I've got my plate is full anyway. But tell us a little bit about the co-working and how to use it as a game changer for someone who's, working from their home, or they're just a independent contractor, say a realtor or insurance agent, someone like me who works by myself, and I don't really have a team behind me to help or
hmm
whatever.
Yeah, so it's this idea, just like with Action Planner. Like the reason why I created it was because I'm a person who, like, if I want to start going to the gym, I'm not just going to go to the gym because I don't know about that gym. I don't know about those machines. I gotta get all like in my head. I'm like, oh, so I don't do anything. But if there are classes at the gym that sound interesting, then I'll sign up for a class. And then because I signed up for the class, I will go to the class because I registered. I don't want to be that person that doesn't show up when they say they're going to do. So then, like, there's this whole thing around uh, building accountability, even if you don't have a team, by like leveraging other kinds of communities, right? An action planner is one kind of community, but there's a lot of different ones. Like you could get a co-working membership. There could be, like, you join a coaching program, like a mastermind. That's a way um, of co-working in a way, right? Like the coach is leading us towards a particular goal, and we're all following along in that goal. I don't have anybody on my staff, but because I've joined a community of people, now I'm more motivated to do whatever the content of that coaching program is, right? And it could be structured co-working, like Brand Planner, like Action Planner. I also joined recently. I don't like marketing, which is really interesting because I do branding, but I don't like the execution of marketing. I don't um, want to. I don't want to create the content. I won't. So I know this about myself, that if I'm going to get something done, I need some kind of like another human being to look at. So one of my clients runs a marketing hour, and it's co-working because really she doesn't tell me what to do, but we know that this hour and a half is dedicated to marketing. So I've paid for this, so I have a financial incentive. She knows me and expects me to be there. I know what the topic is. And so in my mind now, I've created a space that's like more protected than I'm just going to do my marketing on Monday afternoon because I won't. But because I'm going to her group and I'm paying for that group, I'm going to marketing for an hour and a half.
Right.
So the idea of co-working as a solopreneur can really move you forward because there are lots of areas, like you have to wear so many hats. Not all those hats fit and you won't like them. And as you become and step into the role of a leader, you have to be a leader. You have to self-lead, which means sometimes you have to do things you don't want. And co-working is one of the things that for me makes those things possible.
Right. And that I get it because and it helps the creative juices flow. And if you're not a marketer, you don't have to be a real hardcore marketer to have somebody just give you a nudge and go, here's a little idea. And I don't know about your brain, but my brain, somebody gives me just a little spark, and sometimes I take it and run with it.
hmm
Now, many times I'll run in the completely wrong direction, say, well, this would be great for a funeral home, or something. This would be this would be awesome for that cancer insurance plan. Things just don't always work, but you have to spitball them around, and that's where I think what you're saying is you have that sense of community. You're using people as a sounding board. They're giving you some advice. You're telling them what's going on, what's not working, what is working, and you
hmm
kind of get a little help there. It's kind of like learning to ride a bicycle and having your parent push you after they
hmm
kick the training
And
wheels
then
off.
kind of follow along, they're running along you.
Right.
And
You
that's
know,
the cool thing about it, is that the co-working space is like a spectrum of hands-on to hands-off. So, because I am very familiar with marketing, And if I make myself, I know what I'm supposed to do. I just won't do it. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I just need the space and to, have some skin in the game, right? But maybe you're not comfortable marketing. You don't really like that's not your issue. Maybe your issue is like, I don't know how to come up with content. I don't know. And I've had other co-working experiences for marketing where they're like, this month we're going to do this. So we're going to create 4 posts, and those 4 posts are going to answer these questions for your clients. So here's the concept. They'll put it on a slide, and then they'll say, okay, we're going to do this for 10 minutes. You're going to write your content. It's going to answer this. Like, heck yeah. Thank you.
Training wheels.
Yeah. And it could be anything, right? It's not just marketing, but like bookkeeping is the same way for me for a long time. I wanted a bookkeeping group. Like I just wanted someone, I wanted like the action planner of bookkeeping. For 5 minutes, we're going to reconcile. For 5 minutes, we're going to look at our reports or like whatever, right? Like the reliable things that I'm supposed to do in order to like keep my business afloat. I would like someone to tell me that and to
Right.
make me do it.
Let me ask you this. Does it have to be people when you're doing co-working like this? Is it necessarily people in your same industry, or is it better to have people who aren't in your industry? In other words, I'm an insurance agent. Would I be better off doing co-working with a bunch of other insurance agents? Or would I be better off with somebody who is just a marketer who, doesn't know my industry but might have a fresh take on things?
hmm That's a good question. I think it depends on the content, no, like the subject area, right? And what your particular needs are at the time. So I could see where maybe bookkeeping for an insurance broker might be different from bookkeeping from someone in a store. And there's probably like a niche that you could carve out. So depending on your level of support that you need, or like maybe you don't need that kind of like niche support. You just need, like I do sometimes, I just need the space. Just tell me, Lindsay, do it now. Like,
Right.
but sometimes it can be really helpful. Like for marketing, um, like say you join a short-term rental marketing group because you have Airbnb properties. Like that's probably going to be very helpful in helping you to curate some content that is relevant to that niche. So you have to find like maybe they might not exist, they might exist, but it's all on a spectrum of what you need in the moment.
Right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. And when we come back, we're going to ask Lindsay a very off the wall question. So we'll be right
Uh-oh.
back. Hey, everybody, this is Chris. And if you are self employed like me, then you probably don't have access to group benefits. And if that's the case, look up Surf Financial Brokers on the web at surffinancialbrokers.com. They have a full suite of benefits available: dental, vision, disability insurance, life insurance, all kinds of things that can help you protect you, your family, and your business. surffinancialbrokers.com, your friends with living benefits. Now let's get back to the rest of our show. And we're back. Hey, Lindsay, long time no see. And so my off the wall question for you is, when you're in these groups, co-working groups, it's not that off the wall really. How does one find a co-working group that is applicable to them?
Mm,
You know, go ahead.
just like everything else, we have to Google de googly de googly.
Uh,
And I think also working your network. It is becoming more common, I think, because of the landscape of attention that is like happening because we're all on screens, entertainment is so readily available, our phones are dinging all the time. Like it's hard to stay focused. Being focused is a resource. And so in that landscape of everyone's kind of struggling to do what they're supposed to do, I think more co-working groups are popping up. And you can get really bare bones co-working where you pay just like $15 a month and they have like a million slots and say at 9 o'clock you need some focused work and you'll show up at 9 and you say, I'm for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to do invoicing. That's what I'm going to do. And whatever, like you create whatever, it's a space for you to be looking at someone and to say out loud what you're going to do. And at the end of the 20 minutes, they'll say, okay, well, how did you do? And then you have to self-reflect on how you did, which is the most important thing I think about co-working groups is one, there's the space, there's the container where there's a little bit of accountability, someone expecting you to do something, be there, whatever. But then at the end of a co-working session, did I do the thing that I set out to do? And why not? What do I get to learn about myself because I did it or I didn't do it? And that is what iteratively makes us better at becoming, leaders in our industry as solopreneurs.
So if you're I don't know, a small business owner and you say you have an HVAC business or you're a plumber or something along those lines, or you start a fleet of taxis or something, is there going to be a co-working group specific to that industry, or is it going to be kind of like I was saying before, like you might be just better off getting into a generic group that can help you with all kinds of stuff? Because of course, if you're like my
Mm-hmm.
father, I've mentioned this on in the past. My father was an engineer. He was, according to him, he was a great engineer, but according to the rest of us sitting around, he wasn't a very good business person per se, and he didn't, you know, he just didn't have that business acumen. He could go and engineer all day, so in that situation, where would, if he was here today, where would he go to find a co-working group that could help him at least at the beginning of his career as an independent owner? you know
Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of options out there, and I, of course, would just search for the dream thing first. And if you can't find the dream thing, then you walk it back to whatever the subject matter is. Co-working will never take the place of coaching, right? Have it like hiring someone to help you get your business really moving forward and helping you to make decisions about your business. Co-working is best for people who generally know what they're supposed to do, but they're having a hard time doing it. Coaching is best for when you need somebody to like answer questions for you. And there are now, kind of like my group, there are starting to become like hybrid groups where, and they're more expensive generally because I'm getting coaching and I'm getting space to execute. So I'm getting both ideas and execution, and not just ideas, guidance. So that's specific to my business. So I think if in your hypothetical, in your dad's story, he would need a coach. And then if he could execute on what the coach said, then awesome. But if he just kind of never really could get it together, then I would say co-working.
yeah, and I get it. There's so many people and they're at different stages. You start a
Hmm.
business, you might be, you know how to do some stuff, but you don't know all the stuff, or you might need some motivation, or somebody might just need to hold you accountable sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've been in those masterminds where someone just says, what are you going to do next week, and what is your answer going to be? I'm gonna knock out 20 appointments, or I'm gonna try to write this much business, or I'm going to try to stay sober, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because, these things happen. Any last parting words before we end this episode?
Yeah. I would say that co-working is an opportunity for you to realize that you are never going to be perfect and you're never going to execute perfectly. But being a business owner is tough, and getting to the first 5 years is tough. And we cannot cling to perfection if you're not doing your bookkeeping, if you're not doing your marketing, if you're not doing your invoicing, for the love of Jesus, then you can't, you have to admit that to yourself. You have to, this like self-reflection of, I can't do everything by myself. And maybe that doesn't mean that I hire somebody because I'm not ready. I have control issues, but maybe I need to join some co-working group so that I can get it together. It's leadership, and it's the thing that makes or breaks us as business owners. I would also say that as you're thinking about this, you will always want to ask yourself two questions about co-working. And one is, do I need someone to tell me a plan, or do I have my own plan? I just need help moving forward on it. And do I want some like individual support, like hot seats? Like, does that make sense for me? And then that would be more of like a coaching thing.
Right. That's awesome. Because, I mean, people just don't know what they don't know. And if you know how to say, I don't know what I don't know, then that's half the battle right there. And then you can go find a coaching or a co-working group, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. See,
That's right.
we're geniuses here. And
Boom.
the you're going to be great at this podcast has just solved everybody's problems. All right.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hey, you're welcome. Exactly. You better recognize, as we say in South Carolina. So, so anyway, thanks for coming on, Lindsay. We have Lindsay under a contractual obligation to appear again. It's our attorneys are awesome like this. And so everybody go out there, have a great week. If you need help with your business, reach out to Lindsay. She's on LinkedIn. I'll put her contact information in the show notes. And in the meantime, have a great week. Be productive. Go out there and do something. If you like the podcast, leave me a good review. If you don't, lie and say something nice anyway, right? And buy me a coffee. There's a thing in the show notes about buying me some coffee. I love coffee. Do you like coffee, Lindsay?
I do.
Yeah, I love me some coffee. It's all right. Everybody have a great week. Go out there and knock it out of the park, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. That was amazing. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more useful information to help you and your business succeed. Thanks for listening, and if you like this podcast, leave us a review. And if you really like this podcast, go to the show notes and buy me a coffee. I love coffee. Until next time, stay positive and be productive.